Welcome to the Golden Speakers Toastmasters of Fairfield, Iowa. I am Cindy Traynor, Acting Assistant Sergeant of Arms. Please join me in warmly welcoming our President, Rhonda Whitaker.
Thank you, Cindy, Assistant Sergeant at Arms. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home, welcome to Toastmasters. Tuesday night, 7:30, in the lower level of the United Methodist Church on the corner of B Street and Briggs. The mission of a Toastmaster club. There are actually 6 promises Toastmasters make. We won't go into that just at this moment. That will come up later. The mission of a Toastmasters club is to provide a mutually supportive, positive learning environment in which each individual member has the opportunity to develop oral communication skills and leadership skills, which in turn develop self-confidence and
personal growth.
personal growth, that's right.
Wisdom teeth.
Especially for Bert. Now I would like to introduce Jean Symington Craig, who will be doing an induction ceremony this evening and getting us ready for the contest next week.
Okay.
Please help me warmly welcome Jean Symington Craig.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Do we have any guests here?
Yes.
Oh, we have some guests. Well, great.
Some of them are incognito. The ones with name tags want to be recognized.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah,
All
we
right,
recognize
so just before we get started,
read.
would you like to just stand up and let us know how you heard about Toastmasters and your name?
My name's Kayla, and I heard about Toastmasters a couple years ago from a friend because it was a goal of mine to learn public speaking. And I went to the first meeting and freaked out, and now I'm coming back to it because I need to conquer this fear.
Congratulations. Jean's getting you a cash prize right now. No?
My name tag is in my purse. It almost counts.
And I'm Kim, and I go to school with Kayla, and I'm here as a support system.
Hey.
Fantastic.
Are there any other guests that are not incognito? I'm deliberately not looking in certain directions. Great. Okay, well, welcome, and we hope everyone enjoys, and of course our viewers at home. New members, could you raise your hand if you are a new member and you have not been inducted into the club yet? Okay, we have Monty. Is that Monty the only one? And do we have Ryan? Was that? Okay, hands a little higher.
How new is new?
Have you been in had an induction
I
ceremony?
stood up there
Have
already.
you hit the buttons?
Okay.
I've been inducted.
You've been inducted.
Yeah.
If you've been inducted, you would remember.
Ryan, Karen, they need to step up front.
So Karen needs to
You
come up
just need
too.
to step
Okay,
up.
And Monty.
come on up.
Yeah.
Class of
All
right, you've been voted in. All right.
Alex, you ought to get up there too.
Yeah,
Alex.
Come on.
I was inducted already, like a few
Like
years
many
ago.
years ago?
Yeah.
That counts.
You're being inducted.
No, that counts.
That counts?
Definitely.
But look at this.
Well, look, it'll be fun.
Look
Why don't
at
you get
these
up again?
fun.
Refresh your memory on the Toastmaster
Dance for Grandma.
promise.
Come on.
Nothing else.
This is making me feel comfortable if the previous person who's been inducted doesn't want to be inducted.
I was inducted.
You don't want to.
Were you?
Yeah, I was up there.
You were drafted?
Okay. Okay, this is all by the book.
Full-fledged brain surgeon.
It's very easy, can be done by anyone. So, new member. Oh, you don't have to do that yet.
It's the wrong hand
Bad
anyway.
touch, though, is it?
It's the wrong
Well,
hand.
when we
Where's
get to
the
the, when we get to
bloodletting
the Toastmaster promise, we might throw that in.
Where's the hood?
So here we go. Membership in Toastmasters is a privilege.
And the only way to gain the benefits of our program is to actively participate. Do you, Karen, Ryan, Monty, and Alex, promise to be active members of this club, to attend meetings regularly and prepare fully for your duties? You could say yes at this point.
Yes, I do.
Promise to be regular.
Okay. Do you also promise to fulfill the other points in the Toastmasters promise?
Sure.
Regular points.
I'd like to get agreement first and then tell you what they are. Okay, so yes, there's really no way out other than saying yes. So you
Yes, I'll do it.
proceed. Okay, so
Roger,
let's
yes.
just review, and this is for everyone as well, the Toastmasters promise. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise, I'll just read through them and we can just say yes at the end, to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all my speech and leadership projects to the best of my ability, basing them on projects in the competent communication, advanced communication, or competent leadership manuals, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so. Very important, store that one in. To treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy. To bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters memberships offer. There's someone calling in right now. I'm outside, help me in. Okay, very good.
Promise to turn off yourself.
To adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters educational and recognition programs. And finally, to maintain honest and highly ethical standards during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities. Do you agree?
Yes,
Yes.
we do.
Yes. Very good.
Yes, I do.
You skipped the firstborn.
Okay, since we sort of said right hands up, unless we'll do that again. I do.
I do.
I do. Thank you.
I do.
Now I'll pronounce
Okay,
you.
and now we turn to the club, and I say, do you, the members of Golden Speakers of Fairfield Toastmasters Club, promise to support Karen, Ryan, Monty, and Alex as they work the Toastmasters program?
Yes.
Oh, heck yeah.
All right. Would the members please stand? Guess if you feel like stretching your legs, you could do that as well. But members standing, it is my pleasure to declare you installed as members of Golden Speakers of Fairfield Toastmasters Club. Let's give them a round of applause.
An exemplary group.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is, we just need a quick set of roles for the area contest. The Area 92 contest is next Tuesday evening, right here again. How convenient is that? We're going to be having visitors coming
So
from
convenient.
Burlington. It's so convenient. You've already got that time blocked out. People are coming from Burlington, parts unknown. I'm still not sure all the participants. We do have members here who are in the running. You're going to want to come cheer them. Alex, come up. Alex.
Again?
Yes, Alex. In the evaluation contest, but, so we're going to have a lot of people coming. Yeah, so you want to come.
And Bert's representing the advanced club.
Yes.
And Bert is advanced. Okay, Bert, come on up.
Yeah!
And, all right, so Rick, and this is the cool thing about having multiple memberships, Rick Starr is representing the new Cambridge Tech Masters Toastmasters Club.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Fight to the death.
yeah.
Hilarious.
Okay, so you guys can sit down.
The first person to die laughing wins.
Yes. Everyone everyone who was here last week, I mean, there were stitches. It was so funny, some of the things that were going on. So to make this work well, as the host club, we want to fill in some of the roles. Don Wadley, our big roles are covered already. Don Wadley is going to be the contest chair. He's from the Burlington Club. He is covering judges. If you get a buzz from him to be a judge, you know, try to step up and do that. But he's trying to get judges from, you know, just not just this club. Let's put it that way. The chief judge is going to be Art Atkinson. Yay! Art is a pro and, of course, professorial looking in any case.
And Art, you got my check, right?
Yeah. Let's
Don't have
see.
enough yet.
Diane Denbaum, I talked to her. She's already done the sergeant at arms position. She could do it again, so she knows the drill on taking people in and out. So what we need ballot counters, 2 ballot counters, and we need 2 timers. Now that doesn't mean 2 timers, it means 2 timers. One who's chief and one Seth.
Whatever you need.
Okay.
Sign me up.
Okay. So great. So
Timer. Put me
timer.
chief
Seth, why
timer.
don't you be chief timer? Okay. And then we need an assistant timer. It's really important because we need to have, is that Karen, were you raising your hand?
She's really good at it.
Yeah. Okay, because sometimes, you know, there can be a question. Karen, okay, and then ballot counters. This is kind of, okay, Cindy and Lynette, sounds good. Okay,
2 minutes on the phone.
let's see, anything else? Is there anything else?
Refreshments.
Oh, refreshments.
Our refreshments host.
So, Vera, would you like to come up and just decide, organize the refreshments as you see fit? So,
Any question?
yes,
Non-member, am I able to participate?
oh, yes. So, you know, guests are welcome, come, you know, but to help with
But just eat your fair
Ballast
share.
or refreshments or whatever?
I would say not. Okay.
Just to be here.
Love to appreciate your enthusiasm, but yeah, be here.
Okay.
The support. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I've been told to expect around 30 people, maybe more. So if you bring something, just remember to supply enough for that. And we have cookies, we have a drink, we have, what else was committed? You know?
Salsa and chips.
Yeah, salsa and chips, Diane.
And some kind of snack.
Yeah, snack. So I think we're about covered if these people bring enough for that many people. And maybe another drink. Would somebody mind bringing a drink?
Yeah, I noticed that we usually run out of juice.
Yes, so more drinks.
I'll bring it.
Okay, Art's bringing a drink. One more person for a drink.
Get names, Vera.
Okay.
Are you writing this down?
People forget.
Nah, they can remember in 1 week. Okay, one more for drinks and we'll have 3 drinks. Thank you. Okay, we got it covered. Thank you very
Great,
much.
thank
See you
you.
next
Yo.
Okay, we need to be here, same drill. We have the same drill that we had last week. So we want to be here 6:45, making sure we're setting up. Tom, you're on camera. 7 o'clock sharp, it's the judges briefing, and if you're a judge, you'll know that. Bring your snacks. Vera will work on that.
Yeah, I'll do the table setup.
Yeah, and then we'll start right at 7:30, and we'll see where we are for this event. Yes.
Please remind the contestants to be here at 7.
Yeah.
Do
Okay.
they need to be briefed?
Okay, so, yeah. Contestants. Bert, you're here at 7?
Sure.
That's the thing? Okay, good. All right, anything else, Rhonda, having just done this contest chair business? Is that good?
Just bring your smile and your belly.
Bring your smile, bring your enthusiasm. We always want to give that really good experience to other clubs, because they're traveling to get here on a school night. Okay, so who was the Toastmaster?
Rick.
Rick. Welcome to our Toastmaster.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Is that all? The role of the fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. The theme for tonight's meeting is autumn. A quote from William Cullen Bryant, autumn, the year's last loveliest smile. The role of the Toastmaster is to conduct the meeting and to introduce the participants. And I'd like to start off by introducing our timer for tonight, Monty Condon.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. I am the timer this evening. The timer has the job of timing the speeches. So, table topics are 1 to 2 minute speeches. The green light is turned on at 1 minute. The yellow light is turned on at 1 minute and 30 seconds. And the red light is turned on at 2 minutes and remains on until the end of the speech. Prepared speeches are typically a little bit longer. They're 5 to 7 minutes. The green light is turned on at 5 minutes. The yellow light is turned on at 6. The red light is turned on at 7 minutes and remains on until the end of the speech. Evaluations are 3 minutes each at the end of each speech. The green light is turned on at 2 minutes. The yellow light is turned on at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And the red light is turned on at 3 minutes and remains on until the end of the evaluation. All speakers and evaluators have a 30-second grace period after the red light is turned on. Table topic speakers need to speak for at least 1 minute to qualify for votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Monty. And I'd like to introduce our awe counter, Karen Oki.
Yay!
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, our honored guests, and viewers at home. As the awe counter, I will be tallying up all the filler words that creep into our language when we speak. This includes so, like, you know. You also make note of pauses or moments when you repeated a phrase or a false start. And anything that's unique to you, I will also make a note of. And then at the end of the meeting, I'll give a report.
Thank you, Karen. And now our grammarian, Alex Sakea.
Yo!
Alright, as the grammarian for this evening, my job is to listen to the language used by the members of the club. I will make a note of any exceptionally good or bad uses of language. I will listen for the word of the day, which is this one right here. Alluring. It's an adjective. Powerfully and mysteriously attractive or fascinating. I will also accept the verb allure. To powerfully attract or charm. Sample sentence: the church basement laughter was alluring to new members looking for the location of our Toastmasters meeting.
Yay!
I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Our general evaluator, Scott Terry. Last minute replacement joke master, Ryan Olson.
Yo!
And our ballot leader, counter, Gene Symington Gray.
Okay.
Yo!
You can clap. Has everyone who has a role brought their manual and given it to someone to evaluate them for credit? Tom, do you need someone to evaluate you?
I did it.
Okay. Is there anyone who's not given their manual? Ideally, we're not going to have me do this much longer. This is just to get in practice. But this is something you do before the meeting starts. Okay, so it looks like everybody's getting it, Dan. Okay, great. All right, thank you.
The next section of our meeting is table topics, where people can give impromptu talks. And I'd like to introduce our table topics master, Bob Burns.
Thank you very much. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and everybody else that wants to listen to table topics, because it's a very important part of the learning experience with Toastmasters. It's an impromptu speech. So what I'll do is call up 2 or 3 people, not at one time, separately, and it'll be a little bit unique, because what I have here is 5 words, and these 5 words you might not recognize what they are, but if you do know the definition, you could say the definition and give an example of it. If you don't, it's your idea and it's your privilege to say whatever you would like about that word and try to convince everybody else that that word is actually the definition, or the definition you give or the example is the actual definition of that word. So, it's up to you to decide that. So, who is going to be the first candidate? I guess it'll be Seth!
Yay!
All right, Seth! What's number 1 to 5? 1?
Yes.
All right. Your word is nipperkin. It's a nipperkin. There you go, Seth.
Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, guests. My name's Seth Braun. Braun's a good German name. If you go to Germany and look in a phone book, there's just page after page of Braun. It's kind of like Smith in America. So I was with the Brauns as a kid, the Braun side of the family, and we were having Witzelsucht. And we were just a nice big plate of Witzelsucht. And it was kind of messy, and I said, Grandma, I'm making a mess of myself. She said, don't worry, son, I brought some nipperkins. And we were able to. Now that reminds me, I have a client who is a fly fisherman, and his wife's also a fly fisherman, and she's German, just happens to be. And I was saying to him, that's kind of rare because mostly men fly fish. You know what I'm saying? Just a show of hands. Anybody know a woman who likes to fly fish a lot? There we go. There's an exception to the rule, always. Well, I said, how did you meet? And he explained. He said, and I swept her off her feet. We were fishing, and I got down in the water, and I gave her the ring, and I said, will you marry me? And she said, well, I said yes because he gave me a lure ring. Now, fortunately, I have my nipperkins with me, so if we want them for the meeting, I can leave them here, so we'll have something to put on, and so we don't make a mess of ourselves. And Witzelsucht is actually a compulsive disorder. It's not a food, Witzelsucht. And I found out that Bert actually has. And so, just keep them in your thoughts, send them good vibes. It's a compulsive need to make wisecracks. So it's true. He has this compulsive disease. So let's just keep Bert in our thoughts.
Who else wants to volunteer? The words get easier. Stephanie?
Stephanie, all right.
Yes,
Sure. Come on up, Stephanie. All right, 2 to 5. 3. That's a great one. It's a yabi. There you go. A yabi. That's your word for the day.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests and viewers at home. Well, as luck would have it, I actually know what a yabby is. It's not a yabby, it's a yabby. I used to have yabbies in my dam. And I also have a great photo of my nephews fishing for yabbies at another dam, a really big dam that had a lot of yabbies. I haven't actually ever seen a yabby myself, but I can put 2 and 2 together that there's some sort of small fishy, well not fish, but something of that variety, maybe crayfish as you call them, or something small, but it's actually something that in Australia it's very common to have yabbies in your dam. maybe it's something you might think about doing here because you seem to have a lot of ponds and dams in this area. You could think about cultivating some yabbies for those who aren't vegetarian, who would like to spend some time trying to get something out of a dam. Normally they put in some sort of, I think, meat or something to attract them, something like that, and then scoop them up. So that's, yabbying is the term for going to find yabbies. So this may be a new art for some Americans, but I think it's something that you might enjoy doing because it's very relaxing. It's a bit like fishing. And that reminds me of my mother liked fishing, and I think I have a photo of her kind of lying completely horizontal on the wharf with the hand out. And that's a very easygoing way to try and catch fish. She didn't actually catch many fish, which is just as well because she hated to prepare fish. But that was something that she enjoyed doing, and I think some other people also enjoy it, including the lady fly fishers in the audience.
Yay! Because it was excellent, plus you're catching something, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what you were catching, but it was a yabby. Yabby.
Yeah.
All right, last one.
Oh,
All right, Art. We got 2, 4, 5. 5. Oh, that's an easy one. That's a Yazawee. It's a Yazawee. Thank you, Art.
Thank you. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests and viewers at home. Something that I'm noticing about all the words that Bob has chosen for us this evening, and this one is no exception, is that they're all slang Japanese words. I don't know about this yabby business that we just heard. Yabbies, in Japanese slang, that's what you call, what a Mexican call a gringo. Their term for it is a yabby. Well, a gazooey is a Japanese slang word for an American gas-guzzling automobile. This was current in terminology in Japan, probably in the mid-60s, but as of the 70s, when Americans started to get the idea that Japanese imports were going to ruin American car manufacturing if they didn't get with the program, the term started to fall into disuse because the Americans started building cars that were slightly more gas efficient than the Japanese were producing in great numbers. But here you have gazooey, and then the first term that Seth tried to convince us was German is actually yet another Japanese, a nipperkin. It's obviously a German, it's obviously a Japanese word. And this is, you didn't pull the wool over my eyes. Nor did she really with this explanation about yabbies, talking about Australian crawfish. Ah! The nipperkins are overseas Japanese who are trying to reunite with mainland Japanese families. So if you're an expat Japanese, and this is in the 50s and 60s, the terminology is nipperkins for those who are trying to return. Mr. Davis.
All right.
Who's up next?
6 more.
2 more.
I got room for 3 more on my page.
Well, we have 2 more, so.
Who's next?
We do welcome guests to get up and give it a
if you
chance,
like.
you know.
Remember, you
say
can
it.
make up your own definition if you don't know it. Anybody else? Tom! All right, Tom.
All right.
Come on, Tom.
All right, we got 2 or 4.
2.
That was a good one. It's Be Blubber.
Ale.
Alley. Be Blubber.
Mr. Tabletop Master. Fellow Toastmasters, honored and distinguished guests, viewers at home. Be blubber is an interesting word, but I'm going to give you a real word. I went to college 20 miles from the Canadian border, about as far up in New York State as you can get, and still be in the United States. And the college had a great hockey team. You know, the only way they had a great hockey team was they recruited 15 or 20 Canadian hockey players to come across the border for a free education. A couple of them I got to know. A couple of them were actually fraternity brothers. And we were sitting at the dining room table one day, and one of them says to me, "Pass the serviette." Had no idea what he was talking about. He poked me. "I need a serviette. Give me a serviette." "What's that?" He like, "What are you, dumb? That right there." I said, "Oh, you mean a napkin?" "No, it's a serviette. Now give me a serviette." True story. That's the way the word goes. I'm probably not pronouncing it exactly correctly. But I did learn a new word. You've all learned a new word. It's a very alluring word. Now say it after me. Serviette.
Serviette.
See, now if you go to Canada, you at least, and you go to French Canada, where they don't speak any English up in Quebec, you can have one word and you'll impress the natives, and they might give you some food. Table topics, master.
We have one more. Anybody else?
I'm doing General Valley.
You can do
Are you? Well, you can come on up.
You can do that. You can dress up.
Yeah, Scott.
I'll evaluate you, and then you can evaluate me.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect. Yeah.
All right. This is the hardest word of them all.
I got it.
Football.
Football.
No, I'm just kidding.
That would be a hard one.
It's
for me.
called scree. Scree. So there you go.
Oh, I know that one.
Well, obviously, so does Scott. I mean, we're going to.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and many, many billions and billions of viewers at home. What do you think the word means? You said you know. I don't believe you.
Are you wanting me to take your place?
No, no, no. Just tell me what you think it means.
It has something to do with vegetation.
Wrong. Next. You know.
Cleaning your windshield after the bugs get on it.
It's kind of like when you half a sneeze, this is half a scream.
You have an idea. I can tell you have an idea.
Ski.
Scree.
Ski.
Scree.
S-C-R-E-E.
Scree.
Running.
Running. Excellent. Excellent. Anyone else?
It's the sound your fingernails make on a chalk.
Well, it's the excrement of a mountain rodent called a marmot.
Marmot.
Yeah, scree, marmot scree.
Marmot scree.
That's how you can track them.
What do any of these words mean? Dan's waiting for this one.
Yeah.
He knows where I'm going with this. That we are the creators of our own meaning.
Yes.
All right. We gotta figure it out. Scree actually has to do with skateboarding. You might not have known that. I was once a professional skateboarder. And oh, you doubt me. I was on the circuit doing a triple loop on my spin board. And what happened was the scree. The scree is the triple loop. And you go inside the loop like you're surfing. You guys all remember surfing, right? When you go around through the loop. That's the scree. The scree is the motion. And we often get lost in what our motion is. I know you're waiting for the meaning, but that's the, yes, time, thank you. Don't forget the other one is creating the meaning.
could have Rick say the meaning of each of the words, but we're going to have to vote. But just to tell you what the meaning of each of the words is, a nipperkin is a half pint of liquor. Okay. A bee blubber, and Tom avoided that, is to swell up from crying. A yabbie is a freshwater crayfish, Stephanie.
Yay!
A scree is a pile of rubble.
Close, I was close.
And a gewazi is a Egyptian dancing girls. So there you go, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master. Mr. Timer, could you tell us who qualified?
The following people qualified: Seth, Stephanie, Art, Tom, and Scott.
Thank you. Everybody. Thank you. I'd like to introduce our table topics evaluator, Bert Chernosky, to evaluate the table topic speakers.
Thank you, Rick. Fellow Toastmasters, all of our table topics participants, and viewers at home. Was that fun or what?
That was fun.
That was totally fun. You know, it was, Seth got it off, started off, kind of caught this contagion of the Witzel suit, and then everybody else caught it. Bob caught it, came up with these really funny names, and they had to make sense. And what you found out today was some of the real meanings of these words, including Witzel suit. Let's talk about Seth. Seth really had 3 responses to the question, and to fit all of that in and to tie it together into the table topics time limit was really hard. But he did it by sprinting around the podium and making sure that we had 3, not only 1 chance, but 3 chances. And all 3 stories were really funny. The only suggestion for Seth is maybe not move so much, and maybe work on a little bit more alluring synapses to tie the 3 stories together. Yeah! But otherwise, great job. I loved it.
Thank you.
Stephanie, she really knew what she was talking about. Who knew? She came up here, and I've never seen her so smiley or laughing and just really enjoying it. But now we know why, because she really knew what she was talking about. Wow, that was really cool. The only suggestion I have for Stephanie is be a little bit more convincing, like you really know what you're talking about, because you had us like, we were wondering if you really knew. So be a little bit more confident that you really know what a yabbie is. And also, come out here and greet the people. Right, instead, spent most of your time back here. Art, same thing, spent most of his time back here. You knew I was going to say that. The other, Art, I love the fact that he played off all the other speakers. Really interesting strategy. Not that this was a competition, but he really kind of put them in their place in a way. And really sort of put a different spin on it. And that, to me, that was really, really fun. And the other thing that I would suggest to you is you had some gaps in there that you're like, hey, get to the next point more quickly, especially when you're only got a limited amount of time. Tom, he really masters the stage presence, came out in front and really captured the audience's attention. And the only suggestion I have for him is it's not Quebec, it's Quebec. All right. So and Scott, very interactive. I've never seen anybody do that in terms of table topics, is really get the audience involved. Very effective strategy. The one thing that you were talking about skateboarding, you did get into some body motion, but when you said you were doing triple loops and something, I think you really need to demonstrate one of those. Yeah. Or that would be really helpful. So we really know that you know what you're talking about. You started to get into the thing, but that's my evaluation of table topics. Thank you very much.
Now it's the section for prepared speeches. And I'd like to introduce Ryan Olson, who will read the objectives for Tom Trainer's speech.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, I will be evaluating Tom Trainer. Tom Trainer is a 17-year member of Toastmasters. He is a double distinguished Toastmaster and is currently working on his third DTM. He has served his clubs in every officer role, including being the Area 92 and Division E governor. Tom has started and mentored 2 new Toastmaster clubs, including one operating at the Fort Madison Maximum Security Prison. Tonight, Tom is doing Project 2, Resources for Informing, from the Advanced Communicator Manual, Speaking to Inform. His objectives for tonight are the following. Analyze your audience regarding your chosen subject. Focus your presentation at the audience's level of knowledge. Build a supporting case for each major point using information gathered through research. And number 4, effectively use at least one visual aid to enhance the audience's understanding. He has asked the timer for 7 to 9 minutes. His title is Tantalizing Tips for Toastmasters. Please help me in warmly welcoming Tom Trainer.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored distinguished guests. Speaking to Inform is the manual. This is speech number 2, Resources for Informing. And I actually do have to bring a prop. So I'm going to bring a prop. I'm going to talk to you about this manual. It's called Communicating on Television. Now, why do you think that might be important to all of the new members and some of the older members?
Because these are all on video.
On TV.
And it's YouTube, and people see it all over the world.
It's all over the world. One of the few Toastmaster clubs to have every single meeting on television. Through YouTube, but it's still pretty worldwide. This is a great advanced manual. You can get to do this one once you've finished your competent communicator. And in this day and age, everybody's on someplace in YouTube. You can't avoid it. So I want to give you some of the tools, particularly when you're the Toastmaster, or you're the speaker, or you're the general evaluator, to understand my job as camera person and director. Alex, you've been on TV. You know they give you signals, right? They tell you what they want you to do, when they want you to do it, and there's always signals going on, but nobody in the audience knows except the people that are on camera. So we're going to go through some of this. All the information I'm going to give you is in this manual. It's one of the best advanced manuals. You actually get to play Johnny Carson or David Letterman or whoever you like as your late night host. One of the projects is to be David Letterman, and the next project, which you do with a pair of another person, is you get to be the guest of David Letterman. So you do 1 week, you do host guest, the next week it's guest host. Fun project. I don't know if anybody else here has done it. I've done it 3 times. It's a fabulous opportunity. You've always seen me do things behind the camera. And most of the time you didn't know what I was doing. So one of the things I'm going to talk about is when you're on a real camera, before they start, the director's going to be like this. This is standby. We are ready to go. Now what you see me do a lot is, and then yes, Bert's counting down. The guy or person will start to count down. 5, 4, 3, 2. And then the next thing they do, and I do this all the time, I point to you as the speaker or the general evaluator or the table topics master or the Toastmaster to let you know the camera's running and you can flap your gums. Not before, because if you're not paying attention to me and you start flapping your gums before the timer tells me to turn on the camera, I lose about 5 seconds of what you said. So on TV it looks like Bajiran, because you're just picking it up. If you don't get anything else out of this, if you're one of the major roles, watch to make sure that I'm on camera. Because we want this to look professional. We want you to look professional. A couple of years from now, Rick, Bert, you've been on TV a lot, right? All of this exposure is practicing what's going to happen. 10 years from now, I can imagine virtually every Toastmaster here is going to have their opportunity on camera. You've already been on camera, right? Good practice, right? And so, good. Let me give a couple more things. Bert and I already talked about the countdown. When they go do this, there's 30 seconds left. One other one is the tight fist is 15. Now, when we get to some of the other things, arm up raised with the knuckles pointed toward the performer. That means got an end coming here. You're going to break you up. So we want you to know that's what that's all about. Moving the fingers across the throat. How many people have seen me do that behind the camera? Right? You're up here. You're the table topics master, you're the GE, you're a speaker, whatever. You need to know when it's time to stop. And I'll do that for you. Because I'm watching the schedule. Because our motto is start on time, be on time, end on time. 99% of all Toastmasters who leave Toastmasters leave because the meetings don't start on time and they don't end on time. That's our commitment. When you see me do this, you don't want me to do this. I will do it for you though. It's just a way to keep things moving. If you see me back there doing this, usually that means to roll it for us, but it means to kind of speed up. We need you to speed up. You got a segment here, we want you to speed up. If you see people doing this, they want you to slow down and talk a little slower. But sometimes it's the only way your point's going to get across. Talk slow enough that we can process what you're saying. I learned something interesting from my friend Stan. They've done a great subject matter study that the average person can only listen for about 1.5 to 2 minutes before everything shuts down. And they call it the flopper theory. It's like the toilet. After 2 minutes, this is full, all processing stops, while it flushes from short term to medium term. All great speakers will limit their stories to 2 minutes to take advantage of that. While everybody's laughing, all the brains shut down for about 15 seconds, laughter goes on, it happens innocently. If you keep talking and talking, you know what you do to your audience? They glaze over, they shut down, they flush anyway. They don't ask permission, but you've just lost them. 2 minutes, right? That's it. What else? We got, if I do this, you know what that means, right? Stop talking. It's time to stop talking. So sometimes though, I'm there, I'm pointing to the red light, and people are up here, and they're flapping away, and they're moving on. They're enjoying what they're doing. They aren't watching the red light. So if you see me going like this, I'm just trying to remind you that there is a light. We would like you to stay on time. A few more things. You know this one? Okay. You've seen it? All right. Yes? Okay, it's good. If you see me doing this, you're way too close to the camera. I need you to back up. I can't get the camera to open up anymore. You get up too close to me, I get a great picture of your eye, or your nose, or your mouth. And the other thing, we consider this area sacred. Only because when you step in front of the camera, it's like Mount Vesuvius. All there is this big mass inside the camera, and then you barely move away. I once had a lady who was rather large, who insisted that she didn't want to come up the sides. So one day I said to her, "Ma'am, I just took the picture of the widest beam you've ever seen." And she knew what beam meant, so fix that problem. I put my palm up here, means you're going to speak a little softer. I could use that probably. But what we're trying to do here is give you a lot of clues. If I'm looking at a specific person, I'm pointing to them, you need to go to that person. Like if you start going this way and the Toastmaster is over here, I'm going to point to you to go that way. That way you know where you got to go next. If I put my finger here, we're on time, we're on schedule, and that's all there is. Those are wonderful signals. Someday you all will have your moment of time, figure out what's going on, read the language, do this manual, have fun. Mr. Toastmaster.
Let's take 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker.
Yo!
I'd like to introduce Cindy, who will introduce Dan Craig's topic.
Yo!
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored and distinguished guests, and of course viewers at home. Rick is doing project number 2, storytelling, out of this particular manual. Project number 2 is Let's Get Personal. His objectives are to learn the elements of a good story, to create and tell an original story based on personal experience. To introduce Dan Craig, he's been a member of Golden Speakers for 3 years. When traveling these days, he and Jean almost always go by car so they can take along their 2 dogs, Aubrey and Porter. They swap drivers every 2 hours or so and listen to books on tape as they move on down the road. Dan's talk tonight is about a time 19 years ago when he was traveling solo and not always having such a great time. His talk this evening is, I finally understand the value of travel. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dan Craig.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. In September 1994, I was in my early 40s. I was a single guy. Came time to take some vacation. I decided on a little adventure to go see the Grand Canyon for the first time in my life. The trip ended up having a fair number of hassles, but I had an experience during that trip that made me finally appreciate the value of travel. I am not naturally a good traveler. I credit my father for this. He nurtured me through negative example. When we were children, we took a number of long car trips cross country. The frustrating thing about traveling with my father was that he would never actually stop to look at anything. My sister and I had a running joke about this. He'd be driving down the road. Kids, out to the left there is one of the great wonders of the natural world. There, oh, you missed. He continues to drive. In his later life, when he was in his retirement years, he went to see the Grand Canyon. This was actually before I had done so myself. On seeing the canyon's majestic beauty, he said, "I've never been so disappointed in my life. It's just a big hole in the ground." But undeterred by my family's example, I continued to plan my trip. As I did that, another one of my natural tendencies came to the fore. I am cheap, and I didn't want to pay the arm and a leg price for an airline flight from Iowa to Flagstaff. So I looked around for other alternatives. I knew that Las Vegas was not really that far from Grand Canyon. I also knew that you could get incredibly cheap airline flights from any major airport hub to Las Vegas. With that in mind, I came up with an itinerary that started with a train ride from Ottumwa to Denver. Cheap ticket. A stay with friends in Boulder, free. An airline flight from Denver to Las Vegas. Really cheap for an airline flight. Then a rental car with unlimited miles to take me from Las Vegas to Grand Canyon. My trip began when a friend took me to the train station in Ottumwa. I got on the silver car, the slightly shabby Amtrak train, which was packed.
California Zephyr.
The California Zephyr. You hear that name, you think, it's going to just fly across the prairie. In the middle of the night, one of the engine cars died. This was at the point that we reached the Omaha station. We sat. I was having an experience of being in this claustrophobic little tin can car. We couldn't get off. The hours just went by and by. I can't sleep on trains anyway. There was a poker game going on 2 rows. No sleep. When I finally got to Denver, walked into the old Union Station there in Denver, the big soaring ceiling, and I was just totally frazzled, completely. I felt good though. I saw a friendly face. There's my friend Kathy, come to take me to their home in Boulder up in the mountains. I was a little dismayed though when she said, "I didn't know your train was late until I got here 8 hours ago." I felt pretty bad that she had spent the day in Denver. I felt like I'd really inconvenienced my friends. I just had the train ride from hell. Travel was really meeting my expectations to that point. After a couple days, they brought me back to the Denver airport. I made my flight. I was feeling a little more grounded. Life seemed a little more normal. Then I got into the Las Vegas airport and it seemed a little less normal. It's so odd to me to get off to a plane and walk through rows of slot machines to go to baggage claim. Las Vegas is a unique place. In the 90s, they were making a big push to promote themselves as a family-friendly destination. As I was driving east out of town, I stopped behind a taxi at a light, and on the back was a big placard ad for a stripper. And I thought to myself, yes, Las Vegas has fun for the whole family. East out of Las Vegas, over Hoover Dam, then out into the Nevada desert, there's a stretch of road that runs 75 miles south down to hit Interstate 40. It is the flattest, straightest road you've ever seen in your entire life. At the end, I made it to Kingman, Arizona. I turned east on I-40 and began to drive and drive and drive. And I finally said to myself, you know, Las Vegas really isn't very close to Grand Canyon. I don't know why I didn't know this, but it took me 4 hours to get from the Vegas airport to the turn to Grand Canyon. The sign said Village, South Rim Village, 50 miles. As I finally approached my destination, I was feeling pretty dumb that I hadn't really researched well enough. And the hassle of travel was just in the forefront of my mind. As I got close, I thought, well, I'm going to stop short of all the mayhem up there at this village. I got out of my car to take a look at the canyon. It was a gorgeous afternoon, late afternoon in September. The sun's starting to dip towards the west. The light's getting a little bit golden and orange. Perfect weather, not a breath of breeze. I walked about 100 feet over to the edge of the canyon. There's no barrier. And suddenly I'm standing on the edge of this majestic abyss. The silence just welled up out of that thing and was all around me. It was such an alluring experience. Just the ancient presence of that place. I loved Grand Canyon from first sight. I'm not sure how long I stood there, but in some sense I actually stood there for an eternity. I camped on the south side of the canyon. The next night I drove around to the north side. Totally different world. Heavily forested, much more lush. I loved Grand Canyon completely. When I retraced all my steps, made it back to Fairfield, I was very glad to be home. I didn't want to go traveling again anytime soon. I didn't want to go on a train ride ever again. But in spite of all the hassles, I realized that by traveling, it's possible to have certain kinds of experiences that you just can't get in any other way.
Yo!
Let's take 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker. Mr. Timer, can you tell us which of the speakers have qualified?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster. Speakers that have qualified are Tom and Dan.
All right, time to vote for the best speaker. Now it's time for our evaluation section. I'd like to introduce our general evaluator, Scott Kelly.
Yo!
All right, it's time to evaluate the evaluators. But first, let's have Ryan come on up and tell us all about how Tom did. Ryan?
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, I really enjoyed Tom's speech tonight and talk about picking an appropriate topic that would keep us all enthralled in our seats and something that we're all interested in. I mean, after all, a topic of Toastmasters at a Toastmasters meeting. Very appropriate. I thoroughly enjoyed hearing about all of the different little mannerisms that Tom's been doing behind the camera. I thought he just, had a lot of nervous twitches and liked to touch his face a lot. So it's very appropriate that we're having the camera here and getting to be familiar with how to be more professional speaking for a televised audience. I would have liked to see a little more on visual aids. There's definitely some room for more alluring visual aids. There was a point I would recommend when you had a lot of wonderful examples for why to give your different hand gestures and what happens if they go unnoticed. For me as an audience member, I didn't know, one of the ones that you did, you asked, does everybody know what this is? And somebody did something non-verbally and I missed what it was. So an explanation, a verbal explanation of each one for the whole audience. Tom, you were definitely very knowledgeable about the entire subject. I enjoyed the example about people only being able to handle a couple of minutes of somebody's main point. I didn't really hear much after that, no. So if you do hear a whizzing noise, you know, off in the back of the room, that might be my mind actually flushing. So, but job very well done, and I now feel much more informed about what to do when I'm in front of the camera.
All right. Cindy, are you ready to allure us with your reality?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home, but most especially Dan Craig. I finally understand the value of travel. That's really, and to me, what I heard, an open-ended, because it could be from the greatest thing to all the stuff you told us about that weren't so great about traveling. The whole range, you had the whole range. I liked how the point of your story was developed. You kind of set it up by giving examples of how your opinion was formed as a child, like your father saying, oh, look, kids. Oh, you know, and not stopping. Oh, you just missed the national monument or the big historical place. And I thought your body language was very appropriate at that time, and I enjoyed it, and it added a lot to your story. All the body language that you displayed throughout the whole thing, I thought was very well done. I liked your move where you said, flying along the prairie. Not, yes. You moved the story along really well. You were giving us hints all along and examples all along. There was, I think, 5 or 6 examples throughout your whole thing, your whole speech, about that made your point about and reinforced your feelings about travel, that it's hard work and it was meeting your father's expectations in your life as well. The one character that I think you'd spent the most time developing, of course, in your talk was your father. And that was well done. I mean, when you only have a short talk, words need to be really succinct, and you did a good job of pulling his character and illustrating that in your speech. You used a lot of descriptive words and some dialogue. I liked your use of color descriptive words. You were also, to me anyway, you were painting emotional pictures in my mind and my thoughts, as well as the visual ones. And I especially liked your pairing there of the emotional pictures with the visual ones that you created. I enjoyed that a lot. You were able to picture the characters and actions as the speaker told the story, and I said, yes, you did a good job with that. And could anything have been done to help me better visualize the characters in action? Yeah, perhaps, but then you'd have to have a longer time to do it in, to really bring that out. One thing where you said the stripper, I don't know, maybe you could have, described what she was not wearing or something. But this is a family venue. I enjoyed your talk very much and look forward to many more. Thank you, Dan.
Time to vote. So, for voting tonight, we have Bert, Ryan, and Cindy, 3 excellent evaluators. What?
Who qualified?
Oh, right, who qualified? Yes, I suppose we should have started with that reality. Did Bert, Ryan, and Cindy all qualify?
Actually, just Ryan qualified.
Just Ryan.
There
you go. Should get more time.
Yeah, but are we not doing that again?
No.
What's the ruling on that?
Let's all get out our nipperkins and we'll make some notes.
All right. We need to have a status. I mean,
If it's a board decision, then we should do it. We made a decision to do it.
Well, I
then we
don't know
need
if we
to-
did.
Huh?
I don't know if we did.
Okay.
What's the decision?
There's a club precedence that the table topics evaluator in the past has had more speakers, that they were given more time. That is a club
we
precedence.
just don't know how to
Bert's time
define it.
was 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
Let's give it to him. Let's give it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So,
That's okay.
So Bert and Ryan then.
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
You're on.
All right, great. Let's go down the list. Are we?
No.
No?
You go ahead
Oh, we
with
do reports
reports.
first?
Yes.
Let's do reports.
No, you're doing the reports right
You
now.
do the reports.
Yeah.
Let's go down the report list. Do this. Much more sensible. Thank you. Let's start with Monty and the time-in report.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, the timing report for this evening, starting with table topics. Seth spoke for 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Stephanie spoke for 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Art spoke for 2:13. Tom spoke for 1 minute and 46 seconds. And Scott spoke for 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Moving on to speeches, Tom spoke for 9 minutes and 11 seconds. Dan Craig spoke for 8 minutes and 18 seconds. For table topics, our evaluator, Bert, spoke for 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Ryan, as a speech evaluator, spoke for 3 minutes and 12 seconds. And Cindy, as a speech evaluator, spoke for 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
Great. Let's now move to Karen with the AHA counter report.
Thank you, Scott.
Uh,
Rhonda, you were clean tonight. Jean, your word of choice was the ah. Oh, there she is. Okay. The other ones were less obvious, but the ah really stuck out. So pay attention to that one. Rick, pretty good. 3 ahs and 1 false start. Monty, almost clean. 1 ah, 1 Xerox. Scott had 1 all right, as did Alex, and 1 false ending on your table topics, and 1 Xerox. Ra, your filler of choice was the ah and the and also I heard the tongue clicks and the throat clearing seem to be as prevalent as the ahs and the ums, so watch that one. Bob, almost clean, 2 so's. Bert, little bit of a few different things. So 1 ah, 1 1 you know, a couple ands, like that, but it's pretty good. Cindy, I noticed more that the pauses weren't always effective. So it seemed like you were collecting your thoughts a lot, which distracted the attention. Seth, mostly I noticed some ahs, some you knows, a few Xeroxes, like that. Stephanie, pretty clean, 1 ah maybe, 1 so. And Tom, the Xerox, repeating, that came up most often, as did false starts. And then finally Dan, mostly clean except for 3 Xeroxes. But that was mostly at the beginning. Once it got going, it was pretty clean, most of the speech. That's a report from the awe counter.
Yes, thank you. Excellent job. Let's go to Joke Master. No, Grammarian, I'm sorry, Alex.
Very alluring night tonight. The vocabulary gods are smiling upon us. Very nice use of lots of very colorful words. Tonight, I learned 2 words for napkin, 1 made up and 1 that was real. I came up with a point system. Seth gets 2,000 points for coming up with a definition of napkin, but he loses 2,000 points for using a lure wrong.
Boo!
Bob Burns gets 10,000 points for his very creative, where is he?
Right here.
Yes, for his very creative words for the entire table topics. 10,000 points for you, good job. Art gets 50,000 points for trying to tackle every single word. Dan Craig had a lot of very nice metaphors in his presentation. I'll just mention a couple. A fair number of hassles, I like how that sounded. Nurtured, my dad nurtured through negative example. The Grand Canyon, just a big hole in the ground. Not a breath of breeze. I thought that was an interesting one. And let's see, Ryan Olson gets an extra 1,000 points for being funny. The word of the day was used 4 times, but 1 by Seth, which was wrong. And the other times were Bob Burns, Dan Craig, and Ryan Olson used it once. And that is my report.
Hey, I used to. I want 10,000 points.
I'm gonna be petitioning him later.
Yeah.
For more points.
Well, that'll work too. It's time for joking. Ryan, come on down. Joke us away. We're joking.
Hello, Toastmasters. I'd like to tell you about a crazy thing that happened to me when I went into the bank this morning. I went up to the teller, whose name was Patty Black, and I was about to ask her about getting some money because I was running short. And all of a sudden, this frog butts in front of the line and comes right up to in front of me and asks the receptionist, you know, I'm really desperate. I need some money right now. And the teller's like, okay. Patty says, well, I don't just give out money. You know, do you have any collateral? So he reaches in. He's got this little thing in his pocket, and he unravels it and he hands it to her, and he says, well, I have this. It's been in the family for a long, long time. And she has this really puzzled look on her face, and you know, so do I, because I haven't seen a frog in a bank recently. But she says, well, I'm going to have to talk to the manager and see if we can do something for you. So she calls the manager, and he comes out to the desk, and he takes one look at what the frog handed her, and he said, that's a knick-knack, Patty Black. Give the frog alone.
Good execution. That was excellent. Let's go through some evaluations. The evaluators really good. Bert did a fantastic job. I like what you did in terms of starting out, pulling us in, doing a general evaluation before you got into the specific people. You really pulled us in, general fun. I loved how you didn't use your notes, which I'm now doing. You had them here, but you really were in front, which really was very powerful. Great demo for Seth. You have both a positive and negative for everybody. It was very clear. In the end, there were some time issues. Obviously, we need to clear up our time thing here so that you know, so you're not so frenetic. Because at some point, you start to get really frenetic. You start like running around yourself, you know. And so instead of demonstrating, you started getting us busy. Directive to audience to use both positive and negatives also might have been an interesting twist that you might have thought of. But I loved how you made it fun as well as informative for everyone. Ryan did a great job. There's almost two parts when you're evaluating somebody. One is when you're coming up before they speak. One interesting thing to do is not just to read what they handed you to read, and I wasn't really clear even of Tom's objectives of that, but to actually make it a little bit more personal. I was, to divert to Cindy for a second, you read what was the objectives as well as what they said, but you generally, I was actually surprised, you generally are really great about making it a little bit more personal, and you didn't do it this time. But generally, you're incredibly great about like making a little personal anecdote or a personal connection to what they're about to read to the person. But back to Ryan for a second. You made some positives, but you didn't really get specific. And you needed to get a little bit more detailed in how you were doing that. I like the negative in terms of the visual aids that he could have used better. But really look at trying to pull out of that some more details of, for instance, the positive and the negatives. You could have also had an interesting discussion. So Tom's up here, and he's given his talk on TV. One of the issues with TV that you might not be aware of is how many big gestures can you do, right? And so Tom's up here, and he's mostly giving small gestures, and he's mostly not moving very much. Now, is that because he's demonstrating how to be on TV, or is he actually giving a speech to us about TV, and therefore it might be a little different? So it could have been almost the discussion point that might have been interesting. But again, good job in terms of looking at some of the things that Tom was doing and not doing. Cindy, I love the really great positive details of what was said. You, over and over again, were able to pull out some of the things that Dan did. I gotta go, but really great. I would have done a little bit more on what Dan could have done a bit better, but great job, and I love the details. It's fantastic. Thank you.
And now to present the awards. The best evaluator, Bert Chinowski.
Yeah, Bert.
Yes, yes.
Hi, Bert. For best table topics. guest speaker. Now, our president, Rhonda Whitaker.
Go!
Yeah, Rhonda, bring it home.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Now, it's been a wonderful evening. We're a little bit behind schedule, but we're going to take the next 3 minutes to run through a few things before we leave. I'd like to ask our guests if they would stand up one by one and say something that they appreciated about the meeting.
I really appreciate the acknowledgement of others, and I can feel that this group is very supportive of each other, and I look forward to joining you guys.
Heck yeah!
Okay, everyone else is declining tonight. It's going to be going home and going to bed on time, folks. There is something that came to mind earlier, but right now it went right out the window.
We don't have anyone.
I have the DVD for the speech contest that came in from Toastmasters, so we could set up an evening to watch that. Art has a place.
The international
The international contest.
The international contest.
#1 speaker in the world. Right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Great. We'll send you an email and ask people for days that they're available. Art, do you have a suggestion about the day available?
Hey, you do.
No, the suggestion was that if you're a member and I am the treasurer and you haven't given me a check tonight, that would be great to do it. Otherwise, you got to put it in the mail and get it to me by day after tomorrow.
Yes, we're trying. We are not trying. We are actually making a great effort to meet our DCP goal, which is to get our dues reported to National on time. That means they have to be in Art's hands so he can get the information entered in the computer and accepted before October, what's the date?
First.
October 1st.
If you know of a
It's next
member
Tuesday.
who hasn't paid dues, grab him by the scruff of the neck and drag him to my presence.
Okay. Now, that brings us to a close tonight. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and honored guests.
I'll pick.
Remember next week early.